Welcome everyone to the channel. My name is Jake and I'm so glad you're able to join me today. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about something that might feel impossible to you right now, and that is finding joy when you are just drowning in responsibilities. And I'm not talking about any sort of like fake, think positive kind of joy. I'm talking about like genuine moments of delight that actually fuel your energy instead of draining it from you. So maybe you're a parent who you love your kids deeply, but you can't remember the last time that you felt excited about something that was just for you, right? Like you used to have hobbies and interests and things that made you light up, but now it feels like, I don't know, sometimes people say selfish to even think about them, like when there's laundry to fold and homework and to supervise and things to get done, right? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur who started a business with this like fire in your belly with passion and purpose, but now you're so focused on that survival and growth that you've forgotten the original spark of that that entrepreneurial dream that you had. That the passion that once kept you up at night with excitement now keeps you up with almost anxiety. Or maybe like you're just showing up every day, getting things done, checking the boxes, but like everything feels gray. Like you used to find more satisfaction in your work, or at least your life outside of work, but now you can't remember the last time that you felt genuinely like excited about anything that was coming up or happening in your life. And so we want to dive into those today. We want to dive deeper into them. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. It is an Amazon bestseller. It came out in November. Since coming out, there are tons of 5-star reviews. Thousands of people have purchased it, and it's already making tons of impact in their lives. I'll put a link to the description so you can go get it. Like everything we're going to talk about today is grounded in some of the principles that are founded inside of this book. It's the best $10 you could invest in yourself. I promise you, like it will change your life. It'll help you to rediscover or reignite passions, find your gifts and superpowers, create more influence, impact, and value in people's lives, have deeper relationships, find more fulfillment. Like, gosh, the list goes on and on of the things that it can do to benefit you. So, like I said, everything we'll talk about today is grounded in some of the principles of this, but there's so much more. There's worksheets, there's all sorts of things. So I highly recommend that you go get yourself a copy. I'll put a link down in the description for you so you can get access to it. Now, like, as a part of this, as I discovered, through my own journey, as well as working with tons of people through the Giver Method, like there's something that like I want you to know. It's this takeaway, these ideas of like, number one, when you're feeling these feelings, like you are not broken and you are not ungrateful, but also joy doesn't show up after you've handled everything. Joy is what actually helps you handle everything so much better. When you're stuck in a survival mode, your brain filters out anything that doesn't feel essential. And joy is one of the first things that maybe can disappear for people. But it's not gone forever, and it's not something that you have to earn. It's something that you can just start to reclaim slowly as a part of your life. Like there's actual neuroscience behind this, and so there are real and evidence-based reasons why your brain goes quiet when it comes to delight. But once again, the good news is there are such simple ways to wake it back up and start noticing these things again. And I want to talk to you about those. I want you to remember what lit you up and that you can let it out without any sort of a guilt or apology. So I'm going to walk you through these like 5 strategies, practical, doable, principles that I've referred to before as like the joy recovery framework. And it's not about adding more to your already packed schedule, because I know that you have that as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's cranking away, but they're about helping you just spot what's already around you. Those small sparks can really shift your energy, your focus, and really have a massive impact on your relationships. Now, like I said, everything recovering directly connects to the Giver Method. It connects to your natural gifts that help you to like come more alive. And when you're operating from joy and not obligation, how that changes everything around you. So once again, feel free to grab a copy of the Giver Method in the link below. Find it on Amazon or at thegivermethod.com. Now, if you are new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. I would hate for you to miss out on any of the content we release every single week. I also love when people leave comments along the way, so feel free to do that as well. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, or once again, thegivermethod.com. Now, if you are here and let's say maybe you've got a team or a podcast or a community that you're like, man, you need to deliver this message to them. They need help in rediscovering what brings life back to work and family. Then once again, there's a link down in the description that we can connect. We can talk about how that would work, and how we can deliver value to your community or your team or whatever that may be. So for now, let's just get right to it. Let's help you rediscover what made you feel lit up, not just responsible. Let's make space for joy, not someday, but today. All right? So if you're ready, let's dive into the first one, which is all around recognizing like joy shutdown patterns. You need to understand how survival mode steals your delight. We kind of teed it up a little bit, but I want you to spot when joy slips into the background more and more. Because it might be a little surprising to you that if joy, I don't know, has been feeling distant for you, or flat, or maybe hard to even access lately, once again, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that your brain's doing its job a little too well. You've gone into that idea of that survival mode, juggling, work deadlines, managing kids' needs, keeping up with the bills. Like, your brain gets laser focused on one thing and it just keeps going. And it's like a spotlight that shines on where the problems are, the threats are, because that's just how our brains are wired. And anything that doesn't feel like it's urgent, like beauty, wonder, delight, joy, like they get filtered out. Not because like joy disappears in any way, it's still there, it's still all around you in so many different ways, but your brain under pressure stops letting you see it and filter it and understand it in the way that it's there. And so that's why so many of us wake up with those feelings, some days where it's like, just feel like we're going through the motions, like we don't belong, or we're not fitting in, or we're not, just things feel off, right? I've been there myself before, and the things that we used to love feel kind of dull to us. We stop noticing music, or the way the sunlight hits the floor, or the tiny laughs our kids make. Like, we just stop noticing and recognizing these things. And it's not that we don't care. It's just that our internal joy, like radar, is temporarily offline. And so what you want to do is start waking it back up. So over the next few days, like, look for you want to map like joy patterns that you see. So once again, nothing fancy. Maybe it's a mental note, or you jot things down on your phone, maybe a piece of paper. When joy feels completely maybe out of touch, out of reach, you're not tuned into it. And when it starts to poke through again, maybe Monday morning traffic just shuts you down, or maybe you find that after a quick walk, something opens back up. Like, just like observe, like no judgment. What is it like? When are you seeing that the joy, like you're feeling that like you're maybe missing things? And when do you start to notice it coming back alive, or where you start to notice those little pieces? And if you want to get a little more curious, then you can start rating like your joy openness throughout the day, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, not that you're measuring worth of any kind, but you're just spotting the patterns. You realize that maybe certain routines consistently close you off, while maybe certain environments crack the door open a little bit, and then what you can try is, before you head into your usual like stress zone or whatever, you can ask yourself, like, am I walking into this in a survival mode, or is there space here for something good to happen? What do I actually want to have happen here? What's the impact I want to make? And if you catch yourself like bracing yourself to be ready, it's like, okay, just take a few deep breaths, like soften your posture, soften what you're doing, and just, enter it with a little more open. Something might be surprising, something might be light, something might be good, but it's all in how you approach it with more of an intentionality than just like being like, gripping on, holding on that, we'll see what happens. Like, no, let's find the thing that's good in there. Let's find the joy. Let's find the way to make it more practical or impactful to our purpose. Because joy, it does not disappear. It just starts to get buried where we don't see it. And the first step to getting it back is to start, like, it's not by doing more or working harder. It's just notice where it's being covered up. And once you understand that, like, it's not gone, like, you're not broken, like, it actually becomes easier to reconnect, because you just start realizing that delight and joy is not rare, or it's not a luxury item. It's all around us all the time, and you just have to, like, I don't know, retrain your focus a little bit to notice them and have your brain start telling you they're there again. Which leads us to like our second thing. So as we start to notice it, the second principle is about this like guilt-free joy amplification. Like, how do we how do we learn to fully receive positive like experiences without permissions or apologies? How do I learn to actually feel good? And I don't want to feel bad about it, right? Something that might seem, or feel familiar is like, have you ever caught yourself in the rare moments of maybe you're starting to feel that peace or that joy, and then immediately you think like, man, I shouldn't be enjoying this right now. There's too many things going on. Maybe the dishes aren't done, or your inbox is full, your kid still needs homework, or your business is on fire. Like, but for a second, like, you felt okay. I've had a lot of people talk to me about this. Maybe they even felt happy. and then this guilt rushes in or something like that. There's you still had something to prove, like you weren't, like you shouldn't be doing this, you should be focused on these other things. And this is a hidden trap that a lot of people fall into, and they don't just struggle to find joy, they struggle to let themselves feel it when it shows up. So it's like, well, number one, let's recognize where it's at, let's find the patterns of where it's being disguised. But even when we discover it, like, how do we just stay in that moment? Like, how do we let ourselves feel it? The thing is, like, if you grew up in a world where like good people like put others needs first, right? The rest of us earned, it was like everything, like rest and relaxation and joy, like those were earned, right? Joy was a reward because you got this job well done, like because we're going on this vacation because of this thing. And then of course, like you like don't always see that happen, right? You start to struggle with it. Like there's guilt sneaks in quietly and tells you, like maybe tells parents like, hey, that happiness, that thing, it can wait. Your kids need to come first. Or, as an entrepreneur, like, hey, you can't celebrate yet. You still have work to do. You haven't caught up to what Steve's doing or whatever it might be. Like you should be, you think like you should just be grateful for the job you have, not necessarily what you're trying to get done. Like the truth is, joy isn't selfish. Like it's actually a sustainable energy that I want you to tap into. Feeling good isn't a sign that you're neglecting anything else or anyone else. It often is the exact thing that allows you to show more patient, with more clarity, more presence to the people who matter most, which helps you to show up more authentically. So what you want to do is first start by giving yourself permission, like literally write down phrases. I know that may sound weird, but like write down phrases that remind you why joy matters so much, not just for you, but for everyone around you. My joy helps me show up better for my kids. And when I'm fulfilled, I lead with more clarity. And caring for my emotional health is caring for my family. Like the statements like these, doesn't have to be these exact ones, but like these are your permission anchors. Like, and you sometimes have to keep them visible. Maybe it's on the screen of your phone, your fridge, the mirror, whatever. And then you sometimes just have to repeat it, especially if you notice these like patterns of feeling off when you're like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. There's things to get done. You feel that guilt. It's going to try to hijack your joy, and you need to use these to kind of pull you back. And then there's this idea of like where you pause and absorb, and there's a technique behind this. Like, something brings you in a moment of delight, or joy. Maybe it's a beautiful view, maybe a kind word someone says, a bite of something amazing. Like just pause for a few seconds, 5 seconds, 10, 15, 20 seconds at most, and just feel it. And be in that moment. Breathe it in. Let yourself really have a moment instead of rushing past it. Your brain needs time to register and retain that feeling. That's how joy sticks. That's how we start to thrive off of that energy that's there. And then finally, track what happens. So like evidence collection is such an amazing thing. Like not for productivity, but just for perspective. When you let yourself experience that joy, and you feel it in the moment, and then how did you show up afterwards? Did you parent differently? Did you lead differently? Did you solve a problem? Were you more creative? Like most people find that joy isn't just harmless, it's actually super helpful. It doesn't steal energy from, others. It multiplies it. It helps you do so much more because like you can be surrounded by good things and still feel empty if you've trained yourself to reject them. Right? Like guilt keeps joy at arm's length in so many ways. And when your joy doesn't stick, life starts feeling heavier than it actually is. And the moment that you stop apologizing for joy or feeling guilty, and you just start receiving it on purpose, you begin to recharge. And it has a ripple effect for your work, your parenting, your marriage, your leadership, your relationships, your communication style. Like joy is fuel and it is medicine. It's a part of how you stay emotionally available. And how you creatively engage with things and how you energetically just present yourself for life. You're not trying, you're not having to try so hard, to build what it is that you're trying to do. So stop rushing through things. Stop feeling bad for feeling good. Let yourself treat yourself to some joy. Take it like it really is. It's a gift to be received and not postponed, and then live in the moment of it so that you can really feel it out. Now that takes us to the third one, which is you build a joy discovery system is kind of how we talk about it. So you want to create, what is your creating and maintaining your personal map of the things that really light you up. So think of it like a personal joy map, because what lights you up shouldn't be a mystery to you in any sort of a way. And if you get honest for a second, most of us spend way more time figuring out like what other people want from us than what actually lights us up, what gets us excited, what are we passionate about. We get so busy chasing the next goal or managing responsibilities or reacting to the stress that we forget to ask ourselves some really important questions. One of the most important being like, what actually brings me alive? And so this is where this idea of a joy map comes in. Your joy map, like that's your personal system for like figuring it out, like not like just once, but like over time, like what consistently brings you delight. It's not about like, what makes other people happy. It's not about what sounds impressive to others. It's just about identifying like, okay, well, what are the real specific things that you enjoy in a way that actually refuels you and really builds you up. For some people, it could be music, blasting music. It could be, it could be cooking. It could be, sitting alone with a notebook. It could be in all sorts of ways. You might get joy from organizing chaotic spaces, and like that, like counts. I love the feeling of walking in a room that's organized and clean. Or maybe you love learning about figuring out what's that complex thing that just because it fascinates you. Like it might be small, it might surprise you, whatever it is, but it's all a part of like your unique, like delight blueprint, that you've built up in yourself. And discovering it isn't fluff, like it is really foundational to really pushing this forward. So what you want to do is start by like becoming your own joy detective. Like how am I going to joy spotting out there? I'm going to look back at my life. I'm going to, maybe get a piece of paper, draw out a timeline. I want to pinpoint moments that made me genuinely feel good. Not big achievements, but the small sparks. What were you doing when time disappeared? When you were alone, were you alone or were you with somebody? Were you moving your body or were you still? Were you creating? Were you connecting? Were you exploring? What were you doing? And then spend time, like maybe take the next week tracking these sparks in real time. Like, well, where are these showing up for me? Maybe set some reminders on your phone throughout the day where it's like, what brought me even a flicker of joy so far? And then write it down. So you're looking at your past, you're looking at how you're moving through it day to day. You're building all of this data for yourself. And then you want to take those discoveries and organize them into one of like 4 go-to categories. Like, what are the quick win joys? Like, what are the things that it takes under 2 minutes and it really lights me up? What's that smell, that song, that stretch, that movement, whatever. There's like restoration joy that fills you back up emotionally. There's a social joy, like moments of connection that energize you, and then creative, like ways of expressing or exploring that just feel effortless to you. This way, no matter how busy your day is, you've got this like list of options of things that can bring lightness back. Like, you're not guessing, you're not trying to rediscover things. It's like, no, I'm just reaching for what's already been proven to work for me. And then you set up your like joy discovery practices as a part of that. Like, so you can map out, like daily, ask yourself like, okay, today, what's brought me joy? And what am I genuinely looking forward to tomorrow? And then weekly, go on maybe some sort of joy expedition where you try one new thing. Like, I'm going to try that new coffee shop or set up a new playlist. I'm going to, a new spin on some old routine. Like, just keep your curiosity alive. And every few months, like there's an audit that you can do around your joy where, you're still like, what's still lighting you up? What doesn't do it anymore for you? Your joy grows as you grow. It changes, it evolves over time. So sometimes, you can wear the certain joy hat for a period of time, and then you got to toss it aside to move on to the next thing because it doesn't do it anymore. Joy isn't a one-time discovery. It's a lifelong practice. And if you're waiting, if you're waiting for it to just maybe show up in your life, like you're probably going to be waiting a really, really long time. But when you build some sort of system that you can track and notice and see it, like that changes everything. You start creating the conditions where joy finds you again and again and again. And the more you practice this, like the more you feel connected and you become who you really are. Not just in the roles you play, but the person you are underneath. And that's where real alignment lives. That's what turns ordinary days into something worth waking up for. Now, our fourth one, as we get ready to jump into that, we're a little more than halfway through this. And so I'd love to know, like, what have been any sort of aha moments, takeaways, things you've noticed that you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. Like, feel free to put them into the comments. I'd love to hear it. Our fourth one, let's dive into it. I don't want to waste too much time, is you have to practice your strategic joy placement, like using delight as fuel rather than a reward. So think about it that way. Like, okay, well, I need a fuel first. I'm not going to wait to earn it. I'm using this with purpose, not as a prize. Like, trying to find as many ways to just word it simply for you, because something that you need to flip on your head is most of us are taught from a young age is like we are raised in like this, like you earn your rewards. Now I'm not saying just like, hey, we're giving away rewards for fun, like, you know, it's not the participation trophy. It's like, you know, no, we get hard stuff done and then like maybe you can have some fun. That's what we were taught. And what neuroscience like out there tells us like is that what real life proves over and over again is joy doesn't work as a reward. Like it works best as like a fuel, as a spark. Like when you feel even that hint or spark of real delight, your brain shifts, the dopamine kicks in, your thinking becomes clearer, your creativity unlocks, you literally become more capable, more resourceful, more optimistic, and more present in who you are. So no, like those 5 minutes you spent listening to your favorite song before a meeting, like that's not slacking off. It is actually a strategy to help you be more impactful. And so what you want to do is try this idea of like joy bookends, you know, where you pick a task every day that feels heavy. You know, it could be prepping for a client call. It could be laundry, the laundry mountain you have going on in your living room. I've got one of those right now. It could be having a tough talk with maybe a child, a teen. And you just like, I want to add a drop of joy before and after it. You know, before the task, I want to engage in one of those small things. I want to step in the sunlight. I want to laugh at a video. I want to listen to the song. I want to talk to a friend. Like whatever your joy mapping and inventory like has told you, you know, use it here. And then after the task, take a few seconds to just breathe and say like, you know what, I showed up and that mattered. And then add whatever follow-up joy thing you can do to help anchor it as a win. Like you can use like this idea of like joy injection as well. When your energy starts crashing, maybe midday, that's a cue not to push through or like, let me go get some more caffeine, you know, or self-shame. Like, you know, it like, that's the point where it's like, no, I'm going to pause and refuel. I'm going to dance. I'm going to dance in my kitchen or here in my office. I'm going to make a snack. You know, I'm going to step outside and just look up and take in what's all around me, you know, and don't forget like that you have like also like transition rituals you can do, where you're moving from like, I don't know, I'm going from my work life to family life. You know, I'm going from parenting to more personal time. Like take maybe a few minutes and like look for a joy reset between them. Like it's like, all right, I'm going to clean my slate before I move on to the next thing so I can show up in whatever that is in the way that I want to be showing up. I can accomplish what I want to accomplish because joy becomes your fuel, not something that you earn. Like it's, you know, you have to stop waiting for life to get lighter. You create that light as you go. And then that ripple effect, like it makes it, challenges are so much easier to approach. Like you are able to love better, make better connections, have better conversations, problem solving, creativity, like all these things. Like panic goes away. You don't feel like you're overwhelmed. You don't feel like you're running on empty. You know, the people around you, like they can feel the difference. Like you can't white knuckle your way to like some sort of sustainable success. You can build a rhythm that includes how you refuel on purpose. And joy like doesn't just make you feel better. It like, once again, you function better in work and relationships, and you carry whatever it is that your personal mission and purpose is forward so much faster. You know, joy is not a bonus, it's a strategy. And so that's why we're going to get to the fifth one, which is like what this all builds towards, which is how you transform joy into that creative fuel, using the delight as that springboard of problem solving and growth. Like joy as fuel, like it will lead to so many breakthroughs. And your brightest ideas, like, do they ever come alive when you're in burnout? Probably not. They come alive when there's joy, delight, when your brain's in the right mind frame. You know, something that took me a long time to figure out is that the best time to tackle something hard or make a big decision, like it's not when I'm exhausted or pushing through. It is when we're lit up. You know, maybe that's just you're in a good mood or the energy feels lifted, like you've laughed, you moved your body, you had a moment to actually made you feel alive or feel more authentically you. Like, and like, that's not being responsible in any way. Like you're just using this joy on purpose. You know, there's different science out there that says that like when you're in a state of genuine delight, even for a few minutes, the way the brain lights up, like, and it like, the stress goes away and becomes more flat. You see more possibilities. You think clear. You come up with better ideas that maybe you couldn't have accessed before. And that's why, like, you don't want to waste your joy. And so let's say there's a problem that you've been avoiding, something at work, maybe something with your kids, maybe something in the business. Like, instead of white knuckling it and just like doing the thing because it's going to, and you know it's going to drain you, like try this, like wait until maybe some sort of better emotional state. That might be listening to a song and, or getting moving, stepping outside for a few minutes, like finishing up like with some sort of like, I'm going to give myself some sort of a win. And then you use that to lift and tackle that hard thing. So joy-fueled problem solving, like you're just using it that sort of way. You're not ignoring the challenge, but just knowing that you need to approach it with a better state of mind. And then like delight-driven decision making is huge when it comes to this. Like if you're ever facing a choice and maybe you're anxious or overwhelmed, like pause and wait for like you're feeling light and grateful and connected to something, like so that you're connected to something more meaningful, and then ask yourself like, well, what decision would keep me feeling more like this? What's been quietly draining me that I haven't maybe named it out yet, and like named it out loud yet? Some clarity, like it only comes when you tap into like real values of the things that are there for you, not when you're trying to survive, just survive the day and just get through the checklist. And then you can make space, like, so how do you capture inspiration? Like when ideas hit, like right after a walk, in a moment of laughter, the middle of cooking, whatever, like grab it. Don't trust your brain to remember it later. Create a voice memo, text yourself, keep some sort of joy sparks notes on your phone or whatever. You'll be shocked how often joy gives birth to some breakthrough ideas that maybe you're not paying attention to, and you just need to make sure you have a way of looking at it and coming back to review it. Most people like burn themselves out trying to think of the ways to solve every problem, but you're learning to fuel your way forward. You realize that joy isn't fluff; it's that functionality that's going to unlock your creativity and clearer thinking. And the clearer thinking parts of what you actually need to go do. You start working from this place of where like joy, like it's fueling your thinking, decisions, problem solving. Like you stop hustling. So next time, like you feel that spark, like don't brush it off, don't push it aside, use that moment and really start to pull it in, and then remember the ways that it's shown up for you. Now, let me leave you with this, like something that changed a lot of this for me, but I've seen it change for a lot of people. Joy isn't a reward for doing everything right. Like it is a resource that helps you do what matters with more presence and energy and way more like creativity. Like if you've been waiting to feel good, or until life gets easier, or until the to-do list is done, like, or until everyone else is taken care of, like I get it. I understand because I've been there. But that mindset, like it's going to keep you running on empty. What we've like uncovered today, what we've talked about, like most people are never truly taught like that joy is a fuel, and it's real and it's practical, and it is life shifting in that sort of a way when you use it to fuel your decisions. And so like we walk through these principles, like tools that, once again, I don't want it to add more to your plate. I want it to be simple things that are already a part of your life, but it helps you reconnect with the good stuff that's all around you. Help you remember that like, you're allowed to feel lit up and energized and inspired, like, because that's just, you're supposed to. That's a part of what life is. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick one thing we talked about, just one that felt doable, that felt like something you could actually try and put it into motion. Like, start something today, this week, like, whatever that looks like. Don't do it later. Like, not when things calm down. Like, right now, in the middle of real life, just start living and start feeling and being a part of that, because when you start treating joy like fuel instead of the prize, you're going to feel the shift and your energy will pick up. You're thinking clearer. You respond to stress with more groundedness. And maybe best of all, you just stop dragging yourself through those days and you start feeling present in them and a part of it. Like your family, they don't just need effort, they need your light. Your business, like it needs that spark inside of you. Your workplace is better when you're showing up connected in a way that energizes you. Now, if you're wanting to dive deeper into this work, into how joy connects with like gifts and impact, well, once again, I'd love to walk that path with you. I'd love you to go grab yourself that copy of The Giver Method. Like I said, put the link down in the description. Go get it on Amazon. It will change your life. It's packed full of tools for helping you to stop grinding from depletion and start building from more alignment. And once again, if you lead a team, run a community, host a podcast, have some sort of an event, a stage, whatever, or you just want to bring this message to a room of people who are, maybe craving more aliveness in their work or their lives, like, well, I'd love to join you as a part of that. And so in the description, there'll be a link where you can go connect with me and we can get that started. Now, before you go, drop a comment. Tell me which of these principles today, like, are you excited to try first? Like, I love reading these comments. I love hearing how joy starts to return and when you make space for it on purpose. Now, I want you to remember that you don't need to earn your way to delight. You just need to start noticing it, and it's it's showing up all around you. It is waiting for you to just pay attention and notice it. The joy matters so much. It is not extra, it is essential. So please stop postponing or procrastinating it. Start putting it into motion. Start practicing it. And let joy become the fuel that moves everything for you forward. Like it is the thing that helps take you to the next level. I promise you that. With that, I'll just say have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in our next video.